I got indicted 4 times in a period of about 3 seconds. Anytime there's a plane that flies over, if my plane flies over a blue state, the following day I get subpoenaed to go before a grand jury.
Trump's former fixer and proven liar, Michael Cohen, is set to take the stand.
Nope. I won't be able to see you without him. Be taking a couple of days off. There's not too many names left in the, let's say, in the can. Let's just expect that I will have a lot on my plate.
Yeah, Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton is at Trump Tower tonight with a preview of Week 4.
Has called 19 witnesses so far. The most significant one is expected to take to the stand tomorrow. Michael Cohen, former President Donald Trump's ex-lawyer, who was given a stern warning from the judge. Judge Juan Merchan has told the court he can't place Cohen and other witnesses under a gag order, but this past Friday, he did tell prosecutors to let Cohen know he's being ordered from the bench to stop talking about the case. This comes after Cohen repeatedly used TikTok to live stream his commentary on the trial and taunt Trump despite repeated warnings from the prosecutors to stop. This past Wednesday, Cohen streamed from the app wearing a t-shirt with a photo of Trump behind bars. On the other hand, the former president has already been fined a total of $10,000 for violating a gag order that keeps him from talking about witnesses. And Trump's been warned he faces jail time if he violates the gag order again.
Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I am being indicted for you, and never forget our enemies want to take my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way. We're going to be in this thing together. We're all in this together.
Cohen, who is a convicted felon and perjurer, is at the center of the prosecution's case. Trump is accused of falsifying business records to hide reimbursements made to Cohen. Prosecutors say Cohen paid $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels in an effort to unlawfully influence the 2016 election. Trump has denied having sex with Daniels and any wrongdoing. Former acting attorney general Matt Whitaker says while Cohen is expected to be the star witness, he's not sure how a jury will receive him.
Remember, as a convicted felon and perjurer, he's going to have a hard time telling a story that's not completely impeachable, being asked the fundamental question, are you lying now or are you lying then? And remember, the case is based on him, and they have to believe him beyond a reasonable doubt. And I just don't think that's a standard they'll be able to accomplish with somebody of his background.
This guy is a disgraced, disbarred, convicted perjurer, went to prison. He's incapable of telling the truth. But you know what, Maria? That is precisely what Alvin Bragg is counting on. By putting on an admitted liar on the stand, no credibility, the DA is essentially suborning perjury. He knows Cohen will lie. So, you know, cross-examination is the engine of truth. And this won't be just a beatdown of Michael Cohen. This will be a savage mauling.
It appears prosecutors anticipated attacks on Cohen's credibility and character because so far they've elicited testimony from people on the stand who've described Cohen as a, quote, jerk. Back to you.
Thanks, CB. I don't know if he's a jerk or not. I don't know anything about Michael Cohen. He's not the kind of guy I think I want to hang out with. If you can't be anything, be consistent, right? And he's consistently admitted to lying. As a matter of fact, we've got a reel here to show you he's telling you about it.
I did things and I acted improperly, at times at Mr. Trump's behest. I blindly followed his demands. My loyalty to Mr. Trump has cost me everything. I have acknowledged I have made my own mistakes, and I have owned up to them publicly and under oath. I am sorry for my lies and for lying to Congress.
Yeah, Lisa, that's their star witness.
Yeah, you know, a guy who pleaded guilty to lying, to tax evasion, finance violations. That's their star witness, right? You know, it's pretty remarkable to see all of this implode in the Democrats' face. Their grand plan was to try to send Donald Trump to jail, to beat him via lawfare. And now they're left with the weakest of the 4 cases against Donald Trump, where even Politico recently admitting that Trump's fate is likely not going to be decided by the courts after all, where you have people like CNN's Fareed Zakaria admitting this weekend that this would have never been brought against someone unless the last name was Donald Trump, and even citing CNN's own poll where 56% of Americans don't believe that Donald Trump can get a fair shake through the judicial process. So now they're left with this garbage of a case, which I don't even think Alvin Bragg's plan was to get a conviction. I think he just brought this with the intent to embarrass Donald Trump, keep him off the campaign trail, because even he, to elevate a misdemeanor to a felony, has to prove that the alleged falsifications of the business records was done with the intent to commit another crime or to conceal crime, and he never did that. And they haven't been successful in doing that. So I think the whole master plan was to embarrass him, and now it has blown up in their faces in a spectacular way, and I love to see it.
Conch, back to Michael Cohen himself as being the star witness and testifying this week. You know, we both watch football, and if you know the other team has a star quarterback, you prepare your defense for it, and then sometimes they come and do something different. So if you put yourself out of the prosecution or the defense right now, knowing the credibility issues of Michael Cohen, how do you work around that and try to maybe trap the defense?
You don't. This is the only quarterback you have to put in the game, and he wasn't even drafted, right? That's how bad it is. You watch these TikTok videos of Michael Cohen that you just showed before, dressed up like Superman, selling T-shirts in the cheesiest way possible. And you're saying this is the Babe Ruth as far as to go to baseball, as far as what the prosecution has. And to this point, most sane and sober legal analysts say that this is more about Trump the man than any crime that may be committed, because no one can define a crime. The only suspense that's left here at this point is the fact that nearly 9 in 10 voters in 2020 went for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. So do all of these jurors, out of personal animus, not because of the law, but out of personal animus, vote to convict Donald Trump? I would think there's at least 3 or 4, to use the term again, sane and sober people on that jury that will vote not to convict. We result in a hung jury. There's no more cases left, like Lisa said. And wow, the election actually comes down to issues between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in the state of the country today. And I think that would be refreshing, finally, for many people in this country.
Crazy thing to have voters decide their own election.
Insane.
Woo.
Well, and Doctor, it's not just Michael Cohen in this case, but the idea of what Lisa said, lawfare, this idea that there's all these cases, much of them falling apart right now. A lot of Trump supporters are saying maybe that's just the Democrat strategy. This is actually J.D. Vance saying it better than I could.
The only thing that Alvin Bragg, the New York prosecutors team, thinks Donald Trump did wrong is that he ran for president in 2024 and he looks to be on the cusp of victory. That is the only thing that this is ultimately about. This is about the fact that President Joe Biden has a failed record as commander-in-chief and leader of this country, and the Democrats can't talk about that. So what they're doing is putting these trials out there and saying, focus on this, not on the fact that the world is on fire and the fact that you have gotten poorer under the presidency of Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, basically what he's saying there is the fact that Donald Trump is running for president is the reason why they're going after him. Do you think that's what, I mean, some of the demographics of what Trump needs to win, middle-class people, women, suburban women, do you think that they see through this?
Well, first of all, we can say this all we want, but I love the fact that J.D. Vance is the one calling the Democrats out for their political ways right now, because if you remember back in 2016, he was actually critical of Donald Trump. He didn't think he was going to be a good president. But after 4 years under a Trump administration, he saw what was accomplished, and then almost 4 years under a Biden administration and everything that was done. So he's now calling out the Democrats of their failed policies and how this is completely politically motivated, because if you just look at those issues, President Biden's going to lose. And people, I believe, are going to see through it, because this is a clown show that's happening right now.
Yeah, if you're keeping a scorecard, it seems like the people that are coming towards Trump that weren't are in big numbers. The only ones turning on him are the ones he's fired.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.